Lucas Live. Tonight on Steph Lucas Live, we are going over Marxist Madness. Round 2 voting closes tomorrow. We're also going over some facts and figures about the disappointing legislative session. Also, Idaho Association of Commerce and Industry scores. What does that have to do with the Idaho Freedom Foundation Index scores? We'll compare. It's all coming up on Steph Lucas Live. Welcome back, Steph Lucas Live. We are starting off talking about Marxist Madness. Round 2 voting ends tomorrow. If you haven't gotten in on this for who is the biggest statist at the Idaho Capitol, you're going to want to get in on this. These are a little bit of a chart of brackets, of course. For round 1, we had some big winners with round 1. We'd like to go over. Let's find out who they were. Scott Bedke at 92%, Patty Ann Lodge, 92%. Congratulations on your retirement, by the way, Senator Lodge. Scott Bedke, 92%, and he's running for Idaho Lieutenant Governor. Will that affect him at all? Well, just get your votes in for who the biggest statist at the Capitol is. Let's also go over some round 2 prep, key matchups, Kirby versus Furness, Harris versus Bedke, Hyder versus Cheney, Simey versus Wood. Might be the marquee contest this round. Dustin can explain a little bit more about that than I can. He's the sports fanatic. Martin and Winder going up against each other. Brutal. Your chance to vote is coming up. Closes tomorrow, so your last chance to get in on this is coming up. What we'd like you to do is head over to Idaho Freedom Foundation, Idaho Freedom Action websites, download that bracket. You vote for the biggest statist in the Idaho Capitol. Looks like Bedke's really going to win this one, so congratulations on those big numbers, Scott Bedke. Just letting you know. And if you want to win prizes, well, that's another reason to fill this out. We're going to have some prizes. So for your chance to win, fill out who is the biggest statist in the Idaho Capitol, and you could win a prize. Certainly worth it. I'm excited to find out those results. I believe the results will be out on Friday. Holy cow! That'll probably be on Steph Lucas Live. I just realized that. I'm very excited for this. I hope Dustin will be along because he's more of a basketball person than I am. So I'll need him to help explain that. Moving on, Steph Lucas Live. What else do I want to talk about tonight? A couple of things. We had Idaho Freedom Foundation index scores come out this last week. We had Wayne Hoffman, Dustin Hurst, doing the big reveal on those last week. I talked about it a little bit on Steph Lucas Live last Friday. Now we have Idaho Association of Commerce and Industry scores. We'll talk about those and who Idaho Association of Commerce and Industry is, in case you didn't know about them before you tuned into this show. We'll have that coming up. But first, I would like to get to what has really been a disappointing legislative session. Everyone I've spoken to about it has said yes, this has been a disappointing legislative session. Breadcrumbs is what Idaho Freedom Foundation President Wayne Hoffman is calling it. There's a visual of a mouse there, of course, and some breadcrumbs. Who's the mouse? We don't know. Is that us, or is it the Idaho legislature saying, look, these breadcrumbs are so exciting? Clearly, the mouse, very excited there. But we're not going to put too much thought into the visual. We're just going to get right to some of Wayne Hoffman's talking points in a recent op-ed. I don't think I could have said it better myself. Here's what Wayne Hoffman is saying about this legislative session. Not only has it been breadcrumbs, but it's been a series of disappointment after disappointment. So here's the breadcrumbs analogy. Wayne is saying, true to form, lawmakers trying to impress you with a handful of breadcrumbs from the 2022 legislative session. Do not forget Representative Tammy Nichols coined that breadcrumbs terminology when she said this income tax reduction from, I believe, 6.5% to 6% was Breadcrumbs. There you have it. What else happened besides the small tax break? Well, a little bit of pro-life and pro-gun legislation. The pro-life legislation, the state of Idaho, I believe, is being sued now by Planned Parenthood over. I'll keep you updated on that. Wayne's point is these breadcrumbs are just a cover for the real story of what happened during the winter in Boise. This is about special interests and media conspiring with elected officials to grow government and keep us under Big Brother, Big Government's big boot. What exactly? Well, let's talk about some big disappointments here. Wayne outlines in his article, which you can find on the Idaho Freedom Foundation's website. Wayne points out a bill to fully fund leftist indoctrination. How does that work out? Well, the legislature and Governor Brad Little passed a bill to fully fund continued social justice indoctrination programs on our college and university campuses. They increased spending on higher education by 7.5%. Of course, this rewards schools for defying the legislature's instruction last year to cut radical left-wing programs. Last year, I believe $2.5 million was cut from university budgets on the premise and concerns of some legislators that Idaho's universities were teaching critical race theory, diversity, equity, inclusion type of things. This year, the presidents of University of Idaho and Boise State University showed up to contend that they were certainly not teaching critical race theory, not in so many words, more of a word salad like Boise State University President Marlene Trump gave us. We also had University of Idaho President Scott Green saying that his university had hired an independent firm to conduct a study to see if critical race theory was happening at University of Idaho. Surprisingly, the firm they hired found out critical race theory wasn't happening. Although Representative Ron Nate pointed out more than a few examples of how critical race theory, social justice indoctrination was happening at Idaho's universities. No matter, we had the Idaho legislature go ahead and pass the budget for these universities. 7.5% increase on spending. Now, besides that letdown with our universities, the legislature, according to Wayne Hoffman in this op-ed, refused to do anything to fully prohibit the well-documented existence of critical race theory and sexualization of children taking place in our public schools, all of which have been ignored by the mainstream media. Let's get to this. As I've said before, the media and the bureaucrats in charge of education would have you believe that Idaho's just this big donut hole, and we're the only place in the country that critical race theory, social justice indoctrination is not happening. There's so much evidence to the contrary. You can look up Anna Miller from the Idaho Freedom Foundation's report on this sexualization of children, things parents are reporting. It's all on the Idaho Freedom Foundation's website, so go take a look at that. Besides that being documented by the Idaho Freedom Foundation and many parents coming forward with evidence, we have Accuracy in Media 2 weeks ago releasing their bombshell report, undercover-style reporting of administrators at Idaho schools saying that, yes, indeed, critical race theory was being taught, but it was under the guise of social emotional learning, mental health, and how pleased with themselves they were. As far as I know, those administrators from Nampa's school district, Caldwell's school district, I believe in Boise as well, they've not gotten back to organizations like the National Review that have reached out for comment. No comment from Idaho's public school systems on those videos. And the legacy media has been completely silent on this, mainly because it goes against their narrative that the Idaho Freedom Foundation was wrong, and the legacy media is right, and the bureaucrats are right, and the public school system's right, and critical race theory just isn't happening. Well, it's not the case. Now we have the receipts, my friends. So if you're listening to the show, at least now you know, right? Here's the thing. You can always, from this point, if you turn your head the other way, you can choose to do that, but now you know what's happening. You can never say, I didn't know that it was happening. And accuracy in media's report has proved that it's happening. So, media, you could turn your head the other way, but you're choosing to turn your head the other way. So, don't tell me that you didn't know, because you do. What else are some big letdowns? It involves education as well. Rejected proposals to expand education choice and parental rights. How's this work out? Oh, so much. We've been over it on the show the last couple of weeks. Wayne Hoffman points out that apart from a small cut to the budget for the Idaho Commission for Libraries, lawmakers did nothing to stop the exposure of children to obscene materials. Let's talk about this. So, Idaho representatives, Idaho lawmakers, Idaho House overwhelmingly passed a bill. And this does not typically happen with all the Republicans in the Idaho legislature, but they overwhelmingly passed a bill to essentially keep obscene materials out of libraries and out of the hands of minors. That bill involved holding librarians accountable, holding libraries accountable. Well, there's a major media freakout. There was also a major freakout from Senate Pro Tem Chuck Winder. He said he wasn't dealing with this craziness from the Senate. He certainly was not going to pass that. And I believe he said the House Bill number 666 was fitting, but he's not the crazy one. Okay, well, it is certainly a stretch, Chuck, but you do you. The point is he said that Idaho representatives were crazy and there was craziness in the House. So to kind of mitigate some of the problems with what's happening in libraries, Idaho representatives did cut some money from Idaho's Commission for Libraries with the point of, okay, keep obscene materials out of libraries, right? Well, much freak out happened across the land from the Democrats. They were very upset, and according to Idaho Democrats, including Representative Ilana Rubel, this just simply is not happening in Idaho libraries. No one's getting obscene materials. It's just not there. Here we go again, right? Deny, deny, deny. That's just the MO with these guys. Well, it's happening. Oh, by the way, in case you have been misinformed and told that libraries are not being funded and they're all going to shut down, no. Libraries are going to stay open. They're alive and well and funded. Some money was cut from their budget. We'll get into the ins and outs of that another time. Well, let's move on to another big disappointment. All-day kindergarten. Now, I know for a lot of parents who are like, yes, all-day kindergarten. Okay, the point is, with the Idaho Freedom Foundation, right, is that free full-day kindergarten is not free. Okay, it's just not, that's just not how that happens. When government tells you something's free, it's not free. You know where the money comes from? Your wallet. Let's bear that in mind. So, we have Wayne going on to say, instead of protecting children from the exposure to obscene materials and the grooming of youngsters into accepting gender fluidity, no Ron DeSantis in this state, my friends, I tell you. He's saying lawmakers signed on to Little's idea of expanding government-run education by enacting free full-day kindergarten, before and after school programs, and more summer school programs, instead of letting parents handle it themselves. Not to mention the abysmal failure of the Education Committee to let House Bill 669 out of committee, which would have allowed children and parents school choice, which would have been essentially the easiest and best way to fight parents' concerns about indoctrination and what's happening in schools. Boy, we're going to wish we had that House Bill 669. So that's certainly another big letdown. Wayne brings up out-of-control spending as another problem. He says this was the year for out-of-control and headed for the abyss spending, right? This is going off a cliff, guys. Wayne says, contrary to what elected officials and media are saying because of some accounting gimmicks, the actual growth in the state general fund spending is above 20%. We know this because Fred Birnbaum has been over this. This is the real reason why tax relief was so pathetically small. Wayne also brings up the fact that the state had a $1.9 billion surplus, but we couldn't afford to lower property taxes. Oh, and another big letdown, we could not afford grocery tax repeal. We had a few legislators, including Representative Ron Nate, try to get this one heard, tried to talk about it. Every morning, I heard Representative Ron Nate. I heard this from another representative. Would get up there and ask that grocery tax repeal be brought out of committee. Wasn't happening. But some representatives tried. I want to let you know that. And we've been on and on about the grocery tax, and I'm sure you felt I've beat it to death. But, no, I'm going to beat it to death some more. Because out of all the states in the Union, Idaho is one of the very few left that charge a grocery tax. And on top of that backwardness, Idaho is actually third out of the handful of states. Third highest. 6% grocery tax. Abysmal. Dismal. You pick a word for it. We'll get the thesaurus up another time and figure out if it's abysmal or dismal. It's depressing, no matter what. So those are some of the big letdowns. Wayne's article also goes on to say that it was, however, a banner legislative session for not conservatives, but for leftists. So it's no wonder both Republicans and Democrats are thriving on the Idaho Association of Commerce and Industry's scorecard, which Wayne says, and I'm good with this, I'm on board with this, should be referred to from now on as the Boise Swamp Index. I'm good with that. I think that's good. Let's talk about the Idaho Association of Commerce and Industry's scorecard here. It gives a 93% to Senate Pro Tem Chuck Winder, who decided to block legislation that would protect Idahoans from mask and vaccine mandates in the state of emergency, keep libraries in check for providing obscene materials to kids, and then what else? Well, keep children from having their sex characteristics surgically or chemically altered. That's right. Chuck Winder didn't want to hear any of that this legislative session. Instead, he refers to it as craziness in fine form, as per usual. Let's move on to Idaho Association of Commerce and Industry. Before we do, I want to remind you about the Idaho Freedom Index 2022. Wayne and Dustin had a big reveal and discussion this last week about Idaho's Freedom Index, okay? And this is when lawmakers score themselves. Idaho Freedom Foundation doesn't do the scoring. There are metrics. These metrics go over whether a bill expands government, expands the role of government, what will it cost the taxpayers? There are metrics. It's very transparent. You can go on Idaho Freedom Foundation's website and find it. It's kind of close to the American Conservative Union score. The American Conservative Union is really the gold standard for scoring conservatives. So it's along the lines of American Conservative Union scorecard if you need some scorecard history. Just a brief reminder, lowest score this last legislative session is Representative Lauren Nokachia from District 19, 18.9%. That's an F, but I don't even know. Is there an F minus? I think that's more like an F minus because I believe 60% or below is an F. 18.9%, that's, I don't know. We'll work some algebraic equations and find out exactly what score that is. F minus 2, I'm not sure. Anyway, the highest, Representative Heather Scott, 100%. And Wayne and Dustin have been over this. Often people will say, oh, you just own these legislators because they vote right in line with you guys. No, that's not how this works. If a representative is inherently conservative, like Representative Heather Scott, Representative Chad Christensen, Representative Priscilla Giddings, boom, they're going to fall along the lines of conservative with Idaho Freedom Index. There you have it. Okay? Wanted to clarify that. Hopefully I did a good job. Let's bring up Idaho Association of Commerce and Industry. Who are they? Well, IACI is what they go by. This is just from their website, Idaho Legislative Scorecard. Now, IACI is very proud of the fact that they've been around since 1974. I've been around since 1974 too, but I don't go around telling everyone that all the time. So, Idaho Association of Commerce and Industry has been Idaho's, this is from their website, they say they're Idaho's most effective business lobby, providing leadership, collaboration, and education in the development and implementation of effective public policies. Now, if you wanted me to define public policies, I would say that means government interference. But that's how IACI puts it. They're saying it's supported by its members. And I've been telling everyone for a long time now, Facebook is on the board of IACI. There you have it. And they also want to achieve economic growth, progress through entrepreneurship, free enterprise. Well, they say free enterprise, but Wayne and I think IACI have a different definition of what free enterprise is. In other words, they are there to do things to forward big business. I'm sure Wayne and Dustin can do a little bit of a better job explaining, but essentially, this is IACI and their legislative scorecard. Now, read to you from Wayne's article the fact that Senate Pro Tem Chuck Winder got a 93% from IACI, and I don't have Senate Pro Tem Chuck Winder's score here for the Idaho Freedom Foundation, but I do know it is dismal. So you compare a 93% from IACI, rah-rah big business, to Idaho Freedom Foundation, which is pro-liberty, letting businesses and people tend to their own lives without government interference, and therein lies the crux of the entire situation, for lack of a better word. But let's get to some more comparisons here. For instance, you have Vito Barbieri, a relatively conservative guy, I would imagine. He has 2022 rating 93% with the Idaho Freedom Foundation. And boy, you got to see this guy speak on the House floor. Man, I wish I had that video. I have it somewhere. He just lit into these public universities about critical race theory. He had plenty of proof that it was happening. So, yeah, that was a great clip. This legislative session, one of the highlights of the legislative session in an otherwise disappointing legislative session. But let's look at the man's score with IACI. 46%. I wonder why that is. I'm just going to take a crack at it. I don't have Vito here. I can't speak for Representative Barbieri's personal affiliation with freedom. He's got the IACI score there. But I'm just wondering if he's more for individual rights and liberty versus rah-rah big business. You see what I'm saying? So perhaps that would explain 93% with Idaho Freedom Foundation, 46% with IACI. Here's another example. We have the IACI score of Representative Greg Chaney, 81%. Seems pretty good. Let's look at a score with Idaho Freedom Foundation, 38%. Now, being that a 60% or below is an F, is that an F minus? Okay. Nokachia was F minus minus. Greg Chaney's F minus, 38%. Why does one do so well with IACI that loves big business? And believe me, here's the disclaimer, because we're always going to have someone get upset, twist my words. I'm used to it, right? But what I'm saying is, of course, Idaho Freedom Foundation loves capitalism, loves free enterprise. They want people to be able to start a business and profit from it. They don't want your business to be shut down because of COVID restrictions or some such nonsense. No! We want you to go out and make some money. American dream, okay? There's my disclaimer. Now, put a little asterisk by it. Timestamp it. Okay, so what I'm saying is Idaho Freedom Foundation is all about removing big government, removing restrictions. IACI, however, likes public policy. That's my third air quote. This Steph Lucas Live, I am no longer allowed to do air quotes. Timestamp it. That's my last air quotes. I won't do it anymore. Whereas, I'm sorry, some things are so ridiculous, they deserve air quotes. Where were we? Public policy. To me, that means, hey, let's pass laws to benefit people's businesses instead of protecting individual rights and individual freedom and an individual's right to run a business without government interference. So it's very telling. 81% with IACI, 38% with Idaho Freedom Foundation. And Wayne says from now on, we are going to call IACI the Boise Swamp Index, as well he should. I'm on board with this. Next time I do slides, we're going to have some swamp graphics. We'll have an alligator in the corner. It'll be very compelling. So that's what's happening as far as IACI scores. Disappointing legislative session and some of the letdowns. Oh, and Marxist Madness. We need to talk about this as well because I want to promo this. I want you to win some fabulous prizes beyond your wildest dreams. Okay, I'm really bad at promoting prizes and things, so I'm just telling you there are some great prizes out there, and we want you to win those. We want you to play Marxist Madness. Who will win? Your last chance to get that bracket and enter to win going to be on the Idaho Freedom Action website, so get that downloaded. Your inputs on, well, biggest statist in the Idaho State House, biggest statist in the Idaho Capitol. Fill out your bracket for a chance to win cool prizes from Idaho Freedom Foundation and Idaho Freedom Action. So perhaps they'll be beyond your wildest imagination. Perhaps you voted for Napoleon Dynamite and all your wildest dreams will come true. I know at the Idaho Freedom Foundation, wildest dreams coming true for the Idaho Freedom Foundation would be a grocery tax repeal. We're still working on that. Don't think this is over. I'm sure Idaho Freedom Foundation will be talking about this in the 2023 legislative session. We're gearing up for it already. But there's the rundown on some of the really big letdowns this legislative session. Look it up, find out who voted for what, Idaho Freedom Foundation's page, and then go fill out your bracket. Marxist Madness, who is the biggest statist in the Idaho Capitol. You got to enter to win that. The big reveal's on Friday. I'm guessing it's on my show. I'm excited if that's me. We'll find out on Friday. I'll see you back here Friday on Steph Lucas Live. You have a terrific night.